And greetings to my 4, 5, 6 subscribers, and thank you for listening. This is a follow-up to my previous video entitled CPC, Congressional Progressive Caucus, in which I made an accusation against the members of the Progressive Caucus that the lending crisis was created, not an accident, not an attempt to help the poor, but a deliberate act of sabotage. I probably failed to emphasize that the subsequent stimulus, so-called stimulus, all this spending by Obama, is additional orchestrated crisis. In the video description, I mentioned the word George Soros. Some of you may not know that George Soros is a currency speculator, very, very wealthy, and he took out a large short position in US dollars a few years ago. I believe the man is a crook. He's not a shrewd speculator so much as he is a crook. Being a part of this conspiracy to bankrupt the Treasury, he was in a position to manipulate currency, not to speculate merely on currency. Now it should be becoming obvious to most enlightened Americans that the so-called Democrats are not Democrats at all. They are either communists or communist pawns. The lending crisis was orchestrated. The bailout and the stimulus is further sabotage on the part of the communists, just as is the so-called energy bill and the so-called health care bill. All of this is designed to carry out the Cloward-Piven strategy of orchestrated crisis. Al Gore is part of it. How fitting it is that Uncle Walter passed away yesterday or today, probably yesterday. And when I went to the grocery store, the Cindy, who tends the breakfast, asked me if what I thought about Walter Cronkite. And I said that when I was a child, of course, I thought he was a respectable man. I've since learned that he is a big part of the problem in our media today. He is a big part of the reason we lost the Vietnam War. And this media problem that he helped create, inadvertently probably, is a big reason why the communists have taken over our House, Senate, White House, and the media, and academia, right on down to the grade schools and kindergartens. I don't know if Cronkite was a communist sympathizer, or just simply a idiot. He said that history would judge whether the Tet Offensive was destined to result in stalemate. He said that history would judge whether the Tet Offensive would inevitably result in a stalemate, and that we should withdraw, that we should abandon our effort to protect democracy. Cronkite was an idiot. Uncle Walter was an idiot. He was held aloft in those days as being an icon, a paragon of truth. My guess is that this celebrity went to his head and he began to think of himself as extraordinary, able to make sweeping pronouncements that would affect the outcome of history, the history of nations, that would affect millions and millions and hundreds of millions of lives. He was wrong when he said the Tet Offensive would result in stalemate. He was dead wrong. History has judged, and history has judged Cronkite to be a quack. Since he destroyed the image of the press, which was supposed to be a news reporting organ and not an organ of propaganda, he led to the current crisis. Cronkite did. His abuse of his position as a newsman by injecting opinion and affecting American opinion. The Vietnamese will tell you that the war was lost in America's living room, not on the battlefield. And that's a fact. Cronkite did that to us, and his legacy persists to this day in the form of all these garbage so-called news people in the print media, on TV, which is a large part of the reason why I do not watch the news. I glance at a few articles put out by Reuters and AP, and a few articles put out by Washington Post. I happen to like most of what Fox does. Cronkite was instrumental in the problem that we are facing today. And the problem we're facing today is that we are eat up with closet communist, crypto-socialists, Marxist sympathizers. If you could see the true face of these cruds, you would be horrified. These are cruds. Marxist sympathizers have ties to terrorism and to dictators all over the world, such as Chavez, such as that Kim Jong-il of North Korea, such as Ahmadinejad of Iran. They are connected to the biggest piles of crud on this planet, and they manipulate people who are gullible and simple-minded or greedy.